the Boston Celtics are in Salt Lake City tonight to take on your Utah Jazz. Have the Jazz wasted this season? Because we saw a performance the other night out of Keontae George that just makes you understand who he is.
Mm-hmm.
And I look at this Jazz team and I just don't understand the direction of this club anymore. And I want to. I do. But if you're telling me you're building and you're developing,
Mm-hmm.
it just doesn't feel like that's what you're doing. You're not investing in your own talent. And there's just these confusing messages now where you had the Olynyks and you had this veteran roster. And I think John Collins has been a very good pickup for them. John Collins has been a very good pickup. But do you really feel like this team is all in on the guys that they've drafted and the young guys who are on this roster? It doesn't feel like that to me.
No, it feels like they're on autopilot, honestly. It feels like they're just kind of playing games. They're just sort of, hey, like, cool, Keontae is, showing us what he can do. But I don't believe, and I'll be honest, like, just having watched a lot of their games, the Keontae George situation doesn't feel like one where it's like, man, they have really developed him. It almost just kind of feels like it's more of a, hey, he's played some ball games now, and the game is just kind of slowed down for him a little bit, so he knows what to do before the ball gets to him versus like, hey, I got the ball. What should I do? You know what I mean? Like, it's just a young guy getting more equipped to play the game. So I don't know. I don't know. I agree. They don't have direction now. The direction is we're going to play, the Sensabas of the world and the Taylor Hendricks of the world more minutes, and let's just see what they have. When I'm more of a believer, and certainly I know Danny Ainge is more of a believer based on what he's done in the past, that, hey, we need to draft well. We need to have a direction in terms of development. Because if you don't have a direction in terms of development, you're not going to start going down the playoff path, which inevitably leads you to contending for a championship.
And I like the Lofton Baisley pickups. I do. I'm a fan.
Mm-hmm. Lofton can play a little bit.
Yeah, I think Baisley can play a little bit.
Yeah.
The biggest thing for me is how committed is Ryan Smith, the owner of the Jazz, to giving Danny Ainge the tools and the cash that he needs to build a contender. Because I think that's the biggest question that I have. Because I feel like Walker Kessler's kind of become an afterthought here now. I feel like he is a guy that I think they've largely, stagnated his growth. It doesn't feel like they did what they needed to do to make sure that he was something of a centerpiece for them. And I think that's a mistake. I think the guy is a really good rim runner. I understand you want your bigs to shoot and be versatile, and he's not that guy. I think that could happen. I think he's got the skill set, but it just feels like you got away from what the plan was.
Yes.
That's what it feels like. It is
at one point, it was very much, hey, okay, we've got a nice little veteran mix here of young guys and vets. We brought in Laurie in that deal, and now we're looking to develop Keontae, and at some point, Taylor Hendricks will get his chance, you would think. And it turns out the only way he was ever going to get his chance is if you made trades that chop down this team. And so now we're sitting here watching a team that gets chopped down and talent-wise and is just not competitive. And that's what's frustrating, because I do agree. Walker Kessler on, let's say Walker Kessler played on a championship caliber team, the Boston Celtics as an example, because they're here tonight. Imagine Walker Kessler on that team coming off the bench behind Porzingis and giving him 20 minutes a night, let's say, as a bench player. You really telling me he's not going to have a double-double in 20 minutes on that team? So we're not even able to see the top end of a lot of these guys because they're playing with such poor talent.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't love it. We'll see what they do tonight, but I just thought it was an interesting. When we were sitting here talking NBA in the pre-show meeting, I was like, this just feels like a wasted season for the Jazz.
Just burning games, just sitting here burning games, and again, it's not personal. I'm not trying to hate on Ryan or anyone else, but there's no denying by anybody's NBA logic that the organization's lost direction. That you're kind of just it's almost as if you've hit pause and you're just churning.
Yes.
It's like, you're tied up to the dock and the motor's on, but you're not moving because you're tied up at the dock. Like, that's what it feels like.
That's what it feels like to me
And
too.
and you can't tell me that Jazz fans, those of you who are dedicated, committed to this club fans, you can't tell me you're not sitting here saying, man, like, what are the Jazz doing right now? Where's this team going? Because yeah, it does kind of sound like Ryan might be distracted. It does kind of sound like Danny might not have the control that he probably should have. Because, and I know this is crazy.
Not the control, the
like,
resources. He doesn't have the resources financially.
But if he had the control, this team would look very different, in my opinion. I don't think this is what Danny H had in mind.
Yeah. Hey, that could be. You could be right. But I look at it's frustrating to me to watch this team unnecessarily flounder.
And I think this all started with the Clarkson situation, even last year, right? Like, I remember talking about this on the show. Hey, if you continue to keep Jordan Clarkson, this team's going to turn left when it should keep going straight. And here we are.
Yeah.
And so, again, just my opinion, but I believe. So let's assume the NHL comes to Salt Lake. Let's assume that whole situation winds up, that new building, Jazz, let's call it the Coyotes, and whatever else happens in that building that they build. Okay, cool. Great. What happens with the Jazz after that? Because if you start spending money after that, that tells me everything I need to know. Tells me everything I need to know. And that's what I think you can't get away from as an owner. When you're like, I look at the Clippers. Like, the Clippers and Ballmer are like, hey, we wanted our own building. We went and got land. We built our own building, and now it's cool, and we're going to win a bunch of ball games. So what are they doing? They went and got Harden. They're doing a new building, and everything's great. They did it the right way. They won first. They went and got talent. They went and became relevant again. They went and figured out, how are we going to win with Kawhi and PG? Well, it turns out we need to add one more because these two guys are hurt a lot. And now all of a sudden everything's good. And what are they, third in the West, I think it is right now? You're in a good place.
Yeah, I don't know. I think that this was a team that they should have made the playoffs this year. And you can't tell me that you're all in to win. And I know, again, and I think the watershed moment is the fraudulent interview that Ryan Smith did with Pat McAfee.
Mm-hmm.
And the absolute fellatio that took place on that show at that moment. And Ryan loves it, and nobody questions him. And hey, that's all well and good. But none of that was true. And you guys all ripped me when I said that, and I'm saying it now. This team, Ryan Smith's a fraud. Ryan Smith is out here trying to get taxpayer money to build a stadium for a hockey team he doesn't have. And maybe he gets it. Absolutely, maybe he gets it. But don't sit here and tell me that you did everything you could do the last 2 years to win for the Jazz.
The Jazz are hot. We're relevant. Everything's awesome.
You're not. Your uniforms suck. You're not trying to win. You're going to spin this as we're trying to keep a protected draft pick, when in fact you're trying to keep money in your pocket to build a stadium, because you're going to have to pay an NHL entry fee. You're going to have to pay a relocation fee, and you're going to have to build a stadium. And you're going to use a lot of taxpayer money to do that. And you're going to use money that should have been spent winning NBA games to do that. And then I still don't believe that you're going to go and win. I don't. Like, oh my God, he owns RSL. He's a minority owner at RSL. That has not meant a thing. What has it meant? Nothing. What is it that he's doing that tells you Ryan Smith is willing to spend any amount of money it takes to win games?
And I think it's an interesting question. If you, like, even if you're, let's say that you love Ryan Smith. Let's say that you think he's just done a perfect job. What behaviors would suggest that he's interested in winning a championship right now? And I'm being serious. I'm genuinely asking, hey, if you look at it objectively and say, hey, like, what is he doing right now that would even suggest that you're trying to win? Because everyone always says, oh, you guys, you hate on Ryan or you hate on the Jazz. Yeah. Okay. If that's the case, then my question is, what do you see that tells you that this dude's trying to win a championship? because that's what we were sold. We being the collective media and let's just call it Jazz Nation. That's what we were sold. Hey, we're trading Rudy and Don.
Got to reset the books.
Got to reset the books. Got to get back in a good financial place. Okay, totally on board. Totally agree with that. But then you decommitted from that plan when you kept Jordan Clarkson inexplicably. You have continued to decommit from that plan by trading Ochai Agbaji and Kelly Olynyk, who, by the way, are absolutely torching. I don't know if anyone's seen what Ochai is doing lately for Toronto. Looks great. So let me get this right. You're burning draft capital. You're developing them. You're trading them. You're burning them. And we're just sitting here. And that's what I'm not going to let go.
Yeah, it's
I'm
rough.
not going to let you off the hook when you are doing nothing that suggests you want to win.
Yeah,
that's what I'm saying.
It's something that I struggle with Ryan Smith. And I don't know that I don't know. You unloaded all of your best talent now multiple years in a row. And you're not replacing it. You're not spending money on it. And we can sit here and say, oh, well, hey, Monty, they're trying to tank. For what?
But that's not even would you agree that that's not the message that's being put out?
That's not even the path you're on.
Like, I would be fine with that if you just said, hey, yeah, like we won 35 games last year. We way overachieved. This year, we're going to take a step back because X, Y, and Z. Okay, fine. Cool.
And I don't even, okay. But that's not what if you're tanking, why is Jordan Clarkson still here? Why is Colin Sexton still here? Why is THT still here? I understand Lauri Markkanen. Totally get that. Why are the other guys still here? You're not tanking. You're not tanking. You're not playing. You're not playing. Taylor's not getting 40 minutes a night. You're playing your veterans. Jordan Clarkson's not playing 15 minutes a night. Don't tell me you're tanking, because you're not.
You're doing exactly what most owners do in sports. You are winning just enough to make sure that you've got jersey sales and ticket sales, but you're not going to invest in the team to a point where you would then go to the playoffs and do all this great stuff because that costs money.
Yeah.
That's what you're doing.
Who are you? The Chicago Cubs? Oh, wait, they won a World Series, and then they refused to spend money. Big difference.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
And again, to wrap this conversation up, I just go back and everybody rips the Lakers or whatever major market team. Everybody rips the Knicks. The Knicks are spending money. The Knicks are spending money on veterans. The Lakers are spending money to add talent to their roster. The Dallas Mavericks go and get Kyrie. I'm trying to think of like the big market teams.
Houston
spend money.
Yeah.
I look at Houston tried to do the young guy route, and now they're adding free agents because they recognize you have to have leadership on your roster. Who's the leader of this Jazz team? You don't have one. You don't have a coach. You don't have an owner, and you don't have a player. Like, for better or for worse, Dallas is Luka's team.
Mm-hmm.
The Lakers are LeBron and Anthony Davis. That's who their team is.
Totally.
Right? You look at the best teams in this league. You've got a very interesting dynamic in Denver that works.
Oh, look at Miami. I mean, it's Jimmy Butler's team, and they've been adding pieces around him for several seasons to try to help him win a championship.
Yeah. I don't know. All I'm saying is I look at all this other stuff, man. The Jazz are not it. The Jazz are not doing it. So I'm just curious.
Yeah.
Where do you guys come down on? Why? What are we talking about stadiums for? Stepanik, I hope the Lakers, James has got to be mixed up in this somewhere. I hope the Lakers win, but I don't think they will win anything. They're going to be in series. I don't think there's any doubt about that. Yes, here's James.
Hi, this is James. Welcome back.
The Rose Bowl is not relevant until the bowl game is played. When UCLA plays there, they have a tarp off seats because students have a hard time getting there. UCLA needs a 50, 60,000 stadium seat on campus. Okay.
Buddy, What
Why
that
are we
have to
talking about
do?
stadiums, man?
What's that? Well, Monty, the TARP budget at UCLA is taking a huge hit. And so now students are getting lost. It's really a crime.
Brandon Butler, the Jazz are not running an offense that is Walker friendly. I don't disagree. You got to find a way to get him back into heavy rotational minutes. And I know and I complained he wasn't starting. He's starting. But yeah, it's fine.
Yeah,
it's fine. And donuts. Gonzaga to the Mountain West would make a good basketball conference, borderline great. Thoughts? No, I don't think so. Gonzaga's not going to the Mountain West.
Gonzaga.
Why would they leave the WCC? They're in a better basketball conference already.
Gonzaga.
In my opinion. Gonzaga holding out to see if they will go to the Big 12, which seems to be on again, off again, constantly.
Yeah.
Constantly. On again, off again. Utah State fires their women's basketball coach, then rolls her out for a press conference. Bad look. She's the one that disclosed it. I mean,
yeah.
I would not have had her for a press conference. I would not have. Mike Smith, Dixie State has a PC for their fired coach. This is bizarre. You mean Utah State? Utah State. That's what I'll say. Maury Alvarez, my recommendation for Disney is move there and get a resident pass. It makes it so much more affordable. You can't move any.
Hey, Monty. So to make it more affordable to go to Disneyland, all you got to do is spend your entire life savings on a 1-bedroom shoebox that costs $5 million in LA.
And you can afford to go to Disneyland. You can. Boston Mapes, the lack of direction, the way they've handled trades, I just don't get it. 2 years of trading players that help win for other teams' scraps.
Yes.
Correct.
So again, Boston, to your point, I don't think we're hating. I think that nobody in that organization wants to admit that they're just doing nothing. They're spinning.
They're in cash saving mode.
They're exactly. They're in eco sport mode right now on the Beamer.
That's right. Exactly right. Wasted. I don't know about that. They were not going to win a playoff game. So they're going to churn and burn players. They're just being realistic. Next season team is going to be way different.
So what makes you think that, though? This is what I'm curious about Jazz fans. And I'm not even disrespecting you, bro. I'm just really genuinely curious. Where do you get the idea that next year is going to be different? I'm trying to understand that.
I don't understand that theory. Because I don't think it's going to be different.
Like what do you see or hear or notice or observe that would tell you next year is going to be different? Because I'm not confident. Will we have different names on the back of the jersey? Sure. Yeah, I'm sure we will. Absolutely. But I just am not confident that it's going to be different until this NHL situation gets handled one way or the other.
And the roster might be different. It's not going to be championship caliber or heading in that direction. I don't believe that. I don't. Unless Keontae George continues to break out and somehow him and Laurie together and
but look at his next comment right below that, but not better. So different, but not better. So you are agreeing with us.
Yeah. Big Blue Horses. If the Jazz finish in the bottom 10, they don't keep that pick as protected. I don't know the exact protections on it. I want to double check before I say Utah Jazz draft picks. Okay. Plurality. Let's see. I think if they finish, where is it? Top 10 protected. If the Jazz land in the bottom 10, the pick gets pushed back to 2025. So we were correct. Same top 10 protection. So it just doesn't, there's no rhyme or reason to what the Jazz are doing. That's what I'm saying. I don't understand it. If you're tanking, why are you tanking? Didn't you do that already for the last 2 years?
Thought so, but
right. That's why, I mean, at 28 wins, you are on the cusp of bottom 10. You're on the cusp of bottom 10. You are, because if you look at Brooklyn's at 26, Jazz are at 28. right? And you're not going to the playoffs. You're 6 games out of a playoff spot with what, 18, I think, left to play. And you've got 5 in the East behind you. You're on that line. It's going to be tough for you not to be bottom 10. I mean, you're almost locked into bottom 10.
Yeah.
So I don't know. That's just my opinion.
Yeah.
I don't want to linger on it. I get it. I totally get it. A couple more. James, if Monty and Jake like NBA, they should move to Texas. We have the Mavs, Spurs, and Rockets in a lot of heat. And you have a governor in a wheelchair that hates human beings.
And you have a lot of cicadas.
Difficult. You do have a lot of cicadas. It's very true. And hellacious storms. I don't like the culture around the team. If it feels like we're cultivating a losing culture and I'm not a trust the process kind of fan. Well, you don't have a process to trust.
That's the issue. Like, what process are we even seeing? Like, I honestly, if you said to a Jazz fan, dude, what are the Utah Jazz doing right now? Like, how would you describe what they're doing right now? And I don't think there's any other way to describe it other than, hey, we're just burning time here. That's it.
Yeah. San Antonio was such a great place when I was there in the 80s. And is Ryan Smith a fraud or just incompetent? He's a fraud because he tells you he has built a mystique around him that everything he touches turns to gold. I see a lot of not gold.
Yeah, incompetent is not the word. He's very competent.
He could win right now if he wanted to. And he simply is not going to spend the money because he's trying to bring an NHL franchise to Salt Lake City, and he's trying to build a stadium to facilitate that. And he is trying to get taxpayer money to do it because it's well over, it's billions of dollars at this point to get it done. Between a building, entry fees, relocation, all of that. We're talking about a lot of money. And I don't think he is truly liquid. He is not a liquid billionaire, in my opinion. Could be wrong. But you don't act the way he's acting if you just have Ballmer money.
Mm-hmm.
If you have Kroenke money. I don't think he's on that level. And that's why I think he's a fraud.
If he was on that level, what would look different, in your opinion? How would that?
You would be spending money. You would be making trades. You would be adding to your payroll.
Yeah.
You would be aggressively pursuing a new stadium. You would be because the Jazz is Delta Center antiquated somewhat. It's certainly feasible as an NFL arena or a NBA arena.
Yeah.
It is not a dual sport arena full time.
No.
You can have your one-off NHL game there. It is not a dual arena full time. It is not. They would need a new facility. And he is focused on getting an NHL team. That's what he wants. So we'll see.